All right, students. I know there was some confusion for some of you on how to solve a system of 3 equations with 3 variables using substitution. So I did this video and I hope this helps. Now, first, I want to acknowledge that when faced with a system of equations with 3 variables, it does seem nearly impossible. And you would be right. At current course and speed, just substituting one variable at a time, it really can't be done until you understand this process. It's something I kind of made up, and I call it the 3-2-1 process. So here's the process. Of course, you're starting with 3 equations that have 3 variables. And then you use substitution to go to 2 equations with 2 variables. Now, the beauty of this is that you know how to solve systems with just 2 equations and 2 variables. So once you do that, you solve them for those 2 variables. And then last, you use those 2 variables to solve for the last remaining variable. Now, the best way to look at this is through an example. So let's do that. Here's the example. I did not bother typing this out and making it look pretty. I just took pictures of an example that I wrote out. And here is the equation. Now, I really encourage you to take copious notes on this example so you can pause anytime you want to and copy down what's the work that was done. All right, so we start by picking one of the equations and one of the variables, and we solve for that variable. Now, you notice in class and on this example that I do number my equations. I picked equation number 1 and chose to solve for z. So I solve for z, and you see it outlined in my lovely red pen here. That expression represents z. Okay, then I go to the second equation, equation number 2, and every place I see z, I substitute my lovely expression. And then I simplify that until I have an equation in standard form that has 2 variables. I named my new equation number 4. Next, I take the third equation. Now, this has to be the equation that you have not worked with yet. And every place I see z, I substitute my lovely expression in for z, and I simplify both sides of the equation until I end up with an equation with 2 variables, x and y, written in standard form. Now, I labeled that new equation number 5. Now you'll see that I have a system of 2 equations with 2 variables. Number 4, equation number 4, and equation number 5. Now luckily, I know how to solve that. I can use either substitution or elimination. I'm going to use elimination because that seemed to make the most sense to me. I picked equation number 5. I'm multiplying it by -2. That means I'm multiplying every term on both sides of the equal sign by -2, and I end up with 2x plus 6y is equal to 4, and I label that my new number 5. Then I add equation 4 and my new number 5 together, and I successfully eliminate y. Now I have just one variable, x, and I proceed to solve for x, and it turns out that x is equal to 8. Now that I know that x is equal to 8, I can go back to my system of 2 equations and solve for y. Now remember, you still don't have enough information to go back to the original system yet. you have to solve for y first. So I will stick with my system of two equations and solve for y, and it turns out that y is equal to -2. Now that I know y and z, in other words, now that I know 2 out of the 3 variables, I can use that information to solve for the third. Just pick one of the original equations. In this case, I picked number 1. Substitute in your values for x and y and solve for z. In this case, z is equal to 11. Now, you are almost done, except that you have a page full of work, and I don't want to search all over it for your answer. So please, write your answer in either form and make sure that you box in your answer. Now, just to review, here is what I did. I did start with 3 equations, but I used substitution to rewrite 2 of those equations as equations with 2 variables, and then I solved my system of 2 equations with 2 variables, and last I took those answers and used those to solve for the last variable. Now that is the 3-2-1 method. Have questions? You definitely know where to find me, or you can email me. Peace out, peoples.